Good afternoon, welcome to IBA News and a very happy Independence Day. I'm Elon Aslan-Levy and you're joining us live from Jerusalem. Today marks the 68th anniversary of the founding of the modern state of Israel. Celebrations continue throughout the country, and at this hour, thousands are still gathered across Israel's parks and nature reserves. More on today's events in this report from IBA's Aryeh O'Sullivan.
Today's festivities began with the traditional ceremony for outstanding soldiers held at the president's residence in Jerusalem. On hand to honor and toast the 120 soldiers cited for excellence were President Reuven Rivlin, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot, and the entire General Staff. In his remarks, President Rivlin, who was 10 years old in 1948, said he dreamt of the state of Israel and was present at her birth. He noted 68 good things he loved about the country, including Shore sandals, falafel, and lemon popsicles. I love her because of her Nobel Prizes and Iron Dome, cherry tomatoes, the Kovet Temple hat, cyber, settlements, and kibbutzim, and one of the hottest chili peppers in the world, he said. Prime Minister Netanyahu quipped he missed the days when military parades were held on Independence Day and said it was time to restore them to the streets of Jerusalem. Of the 120 outstanding soldiers, there were 77 men and 43 women. Many were immigrants, and there were 17 lone soldiers serving here without families. How do you feel about being chosen to be here today?
I'm very excited, and it's very, very special. I didn't expect it at all.
Why did they choose you?
Well, I can only guess. I mean, I've been now for half a year without a doctor in my battalion, so I've had to take more responsibility. But there are many paramedics who have been in my situation before, so having this opportunity and having this recognition isn't at all obvious, and really excites me.
Chag Sameach.
Thank you very much. Chag Sameach.
The festivities were accompanied by musicians including Miri Aloni and Daphne Armoni. The Air Force held its annual Independence Day flyover across the skies of Israel. Fighter jets, cargo aircraft, helicopters, and refueling jets traced a path across the country's main cities. Also this morning, the annual International Bible Contest was held at the Jerusalem Theater, which hosted 65 teams from 33 countries. The winner of today's quiz was 14-year-old Elkanah Friedman of the Yeshivat Bnei Tzvi in Beitel. Elkanah had a strong challenge from second finalist Tehila Matas, a student of the Beheran Olpana in Gedera. Tehila is the sister of last year's winner. Today's celebrations will culminate tonight at the Jerusalem Theater with the traditional awarding of the Israel Prize to Israeli citizens or groups that have demonstrated excellence. Among this year's recipients of the Lifetime Achievement Prize are Reserve Major General Doron Almog and Rabbi Eli Sadan. Happy Independence Day. Aryeh O'Sullivan, IBA News.
Independence celebrations commenced with a festive state ceremony at the Mount Herzl National Cemetery in Jerusalem last night, in a stark transition away from memorial services for the nation's fallen soldiers and victims of terrorism. The heart of the commemorations was the annual torch-lighting ceremony, which was attended by thousands. 12 beacons, representing each of the tribes of Israel, were lit by 14 citizens described as trailblazers, recognized for their outstanding achievement and contribution to the state. Under this year's theme of heroism and courageous citizens, the honorees included Rona Ramon, the widow of Israel's first astronaut Ilan Ramon, who perished in the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster, and mother of Asaf Ramon, an Air Force pilot who was killed in a training accident. After both tragedies, Ramon channeled her energies into social action, founding a school for academic excellence, social leadership, and exemplary courage. Among the other torchlighters were Gabi Bar-Shetet, an expert and volunteer in dangerous rescue missions, who is also among the founders of an Israeli graduate school for social leadership. Avi Toybin, who risked his life to rescue Yasmin Feingold, a champion canoer whose boat capsized, and Dr. Inan Falach, a prominent Druze activist for women's empowerment, were also honored. And one of the torchlighters last night was Feni Sukenik, founding director of the Wherever You Go, Ba'asher Telchi non-profit organization established to assist ultra-Orthodox Jewish women during the painful process of divorce. Before the ceremony, Sukenik took time out to speak to IBA's Margot Dudkevich about the challenges religious women face.
When I was 27 years old and I had 3 children, I got into a separation divorce process. And I am an ultra-Orthodox Haredi woman. It was very hard for me because I didn't have a lot of support. I had a great family and they helped me, but the community didn't know how to treat me. It's like to ignore or to speak in behalf of me or against me. And it was a long process. It was a not easy, complicated process. I collected a group of women and together we worked to build the Amuta, the non-profit organization. And we called it Ba'asher Telchi. Ba'asher Telchi gives support to women that are in the separation and divorce process. In the ultra-Orthodox society, in the Orthodox society. We help them in the legal rights and the legal cases in the court. We help them with friends, we help them with the family, we help them with the children, we give them advices, we give them support, we give them ideas how to handle the whole process, and I hope that it makes the process easier for them. They have the same difficulties as other people has in many other societies. They have financial problems, they have problems with the children, and they also have problems in the community because some of the people don't accept them, they don't want them to be around them, some friends stop talking to them. Sometimes even the family had many problems to deal with their daughters when she comes home after the marriage are broken.
Israel has proudly turned 68 with a growing population of just over 8.5 million people. Ahead of the country's independence celebrations, the Central Bureau of Statistics released figures showing that the state's population grew tenfold since its establishment in 1948. Nearly 75% of Israelis are Jewish and just about 21% are Arabs. Christians, members of other religions and those with no recorded religious affiliation account for the rest of the population. Over the past 12 months, the population increased by 182,000 people. 195,000 babies were born, 47,000 people passed away, and some 36,000 new immigrants made aliyah. There are also an estimated 192,000 foreigners currently residing in the country. In 1948, Tel Aviv was the only city in Israel with over 100,000 residents. Today, there are 14 cities with more than that, of which 8 have even more than 200,000 residents. Analysing the current wave of growth, the CBS estimates that by 2035, the Israeli population will reach 11.3 million people. In a taped video address, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent his Independence Day greetings to the world.
I send you warm greetings from Jerusalem on Israel's Independence Day. 68 years ago, the State of Israel was founded. It was a tremendous historic event. For thousands of years, the Jewish people longed to regain their independence and sovereignty. Today, we have it. We control our destiny. We protect our lives. What Israel has accomplished in 68 years is remarkable. Our population grew tenfold, our economy 100 times. We built a vibrant, pluralistic, stable democracy. I'm the son of our historians, so I know that 68 years is the blink of an eye in history, but not quite. Our achievements in the past decades portends well for the decades ahead. Israel will continue to serve as a bastion of freedom and a beacon of freedom and tolerance in the dark Middle East. Today I have one request, that all of you take one new action to support the State of Israel. Maybe that's calling a friend to tell him the truth about Israel. Maybe it's defending the IDF on Facebook, or maybe it's committing to visit Israel this year. Israel is strong because of the resilience of our people and the support, the passionate support of the defenders of Israel around the world. I wish you all a joyous Israeli Independence Day, and thank you.
And in a special Independence Day greeting for IBA viewers, Tourism Minister Yariv Levin called on Jews around the world to visit Israel.
I would like to wish every IBA viewers a very, very happy Yom HaAtzmaut. It is never obvious that we have a state here in Israel, an independent state for the Jewish people. We are fortunate to live in that era, and I do believe that we have a lot to be proud of. We have an excellent state, an excellent country, and I do invite everyone to come to Israel, to visit Israel, and I do invite the Israelis to get out of home, to travel all around the country. There is a lot to see, a lot to enjoy, and a lot to be proud of.
Days before Israel celebrated its 68th birthday, the seamstresses at Jerusalem's Berman flag and emblem factory were feverishly working to complete orders for their Israeli clients. IBA's Marga Dudkevich visited the iconic factory store.
The small two-story plant is a mess with colour. Flags of different countries and organisations are neatly folded on shelves and in boxes waiting to be shipped out. Some adorn the factory walls and others are piled on long trestle tables. The top story contains the colour press, where most of the flag's emblems are printed. Operating since 1944, before the establishment of the state, the factory boasts 3 generations of family in its management.
They came from Poland. My mother-in-law was making some embroidery in Poland, and she started with embroidery, and then someone from the, not government, but from the leaders of the people here were coming and asked her to make an Israeli flag. And then the family started to make flags.
Since opening its doors 72 years ago, the Berman factory has made tens of thousands of flags, supplying government institutions and private organizations, members of the public as well as countries Israel has no diplomatic relations with.
Almost all the world that we have relationships with, and some that even if we don't have any relationship with them, we are doing flags. People are coming and ask me to do flags to take from to another countries. It's also a business that we are doing.
Over the years, the family business has also received many strange requests.
When South Lebanon Army was acting, we did all the flags for them. And we did for United States people that go to North Korea or all kinds of countries that we don't have any contact with them, and a lot of people are collecting flags.
The days of the pioneering spirit following the establishment of the state are long gone. Today the general public appears to be less patriotic and less inclined to display the national flag on their balconies and homes.
You see it when you're going in the streets. You don't see so many people hanging the flags. It's not like it used to be. It's going, down. People are maybe putting flags on the car or things like this. But all the government's offices are decorating their buildings. It's not like it used to be. Let's say it's maybe 90% less than it used to be in the old time, like we said.
Out of all the flags in the world, the Israeli flag is Hadassah's most favorite.
If you look at the map of all the flags, you can see all the colors, and ours are only two colors, and it's make, I think, a big impression.
Over the decades, the Berman factory has produced flags for every occasion, from the Declaration of Independence to the historic visits by world leaders to Israel, such as that of former Egyptian President Anwar Sadat. But there is one flag Hadassah says she hopes to produce in her lifetime.
I hope that when peace will come, so we make a lot of Palestinian flags to hang, and it will be peace, really, really peace.
Marga Dudkevich, IBA News.
As we celebrate Independence Day, the ranks of those who helped build the state nearly 70 years ago are sadly thinning out. One of these pioneers is American-born Murray Greenfield, who shared his dramatic story of how he and some 250 American volunteers helped to rescue Jews from Europe and brought them in rickety ships to Mandatory Palestine by attempting to pierce the British naval blockade. He spoke with IBA's Aryeh O'Sullivan.
I went to meet a fellow downtown New York who was asking me a lot of questions. He found out I knew something, and he says to me, well, you can join us. I said, what am I supposed to join? He says, there was a Holocaust, and there are a few 100,000 Jews in Europe that want to get out, America is not letting them in. Nobody wants them. And many of them, maybe even most, want to go to Palestine. They've had enough. And so I said, well, it's a very honorable thing. And he says to me, I'd like you to, we need guys for the ships. You've got good training. We'd like you to join. I said, wonderful. And he gives me the story about what it is. And he says, you know, you may get caught. It's not legal. And you may go to jail. I said, what does it get paid for this deal? And he says to me, you don't get paid. That was the end. I said, I'm going. I was only one of 10 ships that sailed from America. I was one of 250 young Americans who eventually worked on all these vessels. We had a lot of men who really volunteered. And they were wonderful, Zionists, non-Zionists, some non-Jews. And we set sail. But in our vessel, we've got shelves and shelves. And if you count the space for every 20 inches to have a Jew, we got room for 1,500 people. 1,500 survivors of the Holocaust are going to get in here. And we still don't understand the enormity of this whole thing. I mean, we've just come out of America. Everything is wonderful there. We all came out of the service, some in the Army, some in the Navy. We've had good, and this, we didn't really catch the whole real, what we were doing. But we knew we were going to go get Jews. We sailed from there. We're told on our Morse code machine, because that's how we work, we're going to go in someplace at night, and we're going to find Jews to bring out of Europe to Palestine. Who were these Jews? Survivors. The following day, 2 destroyer escorts, one on each side of it, big, beautiful, giant vessels, pull alongside, and they clamp us in, and we're locked in. We're locked in. They start bringing soldiers come on board with guns, with shooting tear gas at us. A few hours away, we're taken off the vessel, and we're brought someplace, and we're tired. We went up for maybe 2 days, and we go to sleep someplace, and we find that we're behind barbed wire, double rows of barbed wire. We're in Cyprus prison, same prison that the British had to keep German prisoners of war. That's where we stayed for months, behind the barbed wire, together with tens of thousands of Jews who were stopped from coming.
What do you think about in Israel, many people don't know about the contribution of Americans and foreigners, British and South African Jews who came in 48. Do you think that they're given the right treatment in Israel history?
I was active in forming this so-called Machal committee. I said, listen, we should be known. Nobody knew what we were talking about. You brought ships? What do you mean you brought ships? We brought over 50% of all the Mapilim from Europe to Palestine, and nobody knew. I think slowly, as we die off, they're getting to understand who we were. But we never wanted anything. We didn't expect anything. None of us, when I started to form this whole idea of a Machal group, everybody said, what do you need it for? I said, we don't need it. But I thought the Israelis needed it. I think one of the things that happens here, we become so self-centered that we're building a country, we're busy with everything. It's a very tough, and well, okay, it's good you came, it's good you did it. But I want them to know we did it. Not only my children, and slowly but surely, over the years, it started to come out. Look, I know from all of us, proud, no question. That we built the country, that's sure. What the Israelis did, that's okay, but we participated in, I think, the great opportunity. That those that didn't have missed a big thing.
And in what has become a common independent state tradition, over 250,000 Israelis took to the great outdoors today. Most people crowded the country's parks and nature reserves, or even the tiniest pieces of lawn, to feast on picnics and barbecues. The smell of smoke billowed in the air as revelers gathered with friends and family at parties across the country. Thousands of others made visits to the nation's military bases, some of which are open to the public just once a year on Independence Day. Needless to say, lines of vehicles amassed as traffic on most highways slowed down to a near halt. And just in time to wrap up Independence Day celebrations, Israel's representative to the Eurovision Song Contest, Hovi Star, will take centre stage in Stockholm, Sweden later tonight, in the semi-finals of the world's most popular song contest. If he makes it into the list of 26 finalists, Hovi Star will be able to perform once again his hit Made of Stars at the Eurovision Grand Final on Saturday night. So far, the Israeli singer has enjoyed impressive international recognition. Gamblers and contest enthusiasts have ranked the Israeli representative among the top 10 contestants in the singing bonanza. Tonight's semi-final will be broadcast live on Israeli television's Channel 1 at 10 p.m. The final Eurovision extravaganza will be broadcast on Saturday night, also on Channel 1. Turning to the weather, and the forecast is calling for a heat wave starting tomorrow. Here's a look at the highs and lows for the next 24 hours in Israel and overseas. And that brings us to the close of this special IBA broadcast. Join us again on Sunday for the latest news from Israel. Until then, I'm Elon Aslan Levy, wishing you a joyful and liberating Independence Day and Chag Sameach, live from Jerusalem.